Good morning, everyone. This is Therese Sternberg in the system office. I'm filling in for Laura Tibbetts today. With that, I'll turn this over to you, Chair Flores, to begin the call.
Thank you, Therese. Good morning and welcome to the Telephonic Rules and Regulations Committee meeting for August 4th, 2021. I am Regent Don Flores, chair of this committee. The time is 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Secretary of State as required by Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Code, Chapter 551. Please note that the audio of this meeting is being broadcast live. Before we take roll call, I would also like to remind everyone to please mute their phones unless you need to speak. Therese, let's begin the roll call with committee members and any other regents.
Thank you, Chair Flores. We'll start with you.
Present.
Regent Foskey. Regent Tinsley.
Here.
Regent Amato.
Here.
Student Regent Sedegast.
Here.
Do we have any other regents on the call? Thank you.
Thank you. May we have a roll call of system office representatives?
Yes. Chancellor McCall.
Here.
Nellie Herrera. Here. Daniel Harper.
Here.
Derek Alexander.
Here.
John Hayek.
Here.
Carol Fox.
Here.
Pierce Mitchell.
Here.
Candace Woodruff.
Here.
Do we have any other system staff on the call? Thank you.
Thank you. May we have a roll call for component representatives?
Yes, thank you. And I apologize, but if you could speak slowly for me so I can keep up with you.
Okay.
Lamar University.
Jeremy Altop with Dr. Jaime Taylor.
Thank you. Sam Houston.
Elisa White.
Along with Carlos Hernandez, joined by Dr. Heather Steelman, Dr. Mike Stevenson, Jim Bradley, and McCartney Johnson.
Thank you. Sil Ross.
Good morning, this is Pete Gallego. Dr. Matt Moore is also joining us.
Thank you. Texas State.
This is Eric Algo on behalf of President Trouth, and I'm joined with Lisa Lloyd and Ken Pierce.
Thank you. LIT.
Rudy Gonzalez, Carrie Mix, and Lonnie Howard.
Thank you. Lamar State College Orange.
Wendy Elmore and Tom Johnson.
Thank you. And Lamar State College Port Arthur.
Betty Renard.
Thank you, Dr. Renard.
Thank you.
Did I miss anyone in the roll call? Sorry. Chair Flores, that completes the roll call.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, I'd like to note that Nellie Herrera briefed me on the agenda items prior to the meeting. At this time, I ask that she present the Rules and Regulations Committee agenda items. Nellie?
Thank you, Chairman Flores, and good morning to everyone. The changes being proposed this morning are changes to 3 system rules. The first rule is located on page RR1 or in board book at page 342. Edits are proposed to Chapter 2, Paragraph 4 regarding financial reports and annual operating budgets. The proposed changes to the chapter and paragraph will update the board rules by aligning longstanding practice with current legislative requirements. Vice Chancellor Harper, would you like to elaborate or add any additional explanation about the proposed rule?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So this edit here is really, as Nellie said, is just to align the language in our existing board rule with our practice of submitting a comprehensive summary of our operating budgets to the board, as well as referencing the specific education code and appropriation language that provides the guidance for what is required in our operating budget.
Chair Flores, unless there are questions regarding this proposed rule change, I'll proceed to the next item.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding this item?
Regent Tinsley.
Oh, Chairman Flores, I've been requested to present a change to this proposed language on behalf of Regent Scott, who cannot be with us today. In paragraph 4.31 of Chapter 2, he suggests that rather than using the phrase submitted to the board prior to the end of the fiscal year for review and approval, that a specific meeting be designated. Therefore, I move that we replace that phrase with submitted to the board at the August meeting for review and approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding this modification or amendment? There is a motion to revise the proposed language of Chapter 2, paragraph 4.31. Is there a second?
Do we have a second from any other committee members? Or from any other regent?
I'll second it. This is Charlie.
Thank you, Regent D'Amato.
Thank you. Hearing, are there any objections? Hearing no objections, the motion passes. Nellie, please proceed with the next item.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The second rule change is located on page RR2 or on board book page 343. The edits are being proposed to Chapter 3, paragraph 6 regarding the system's investment policy. The proposed changes to the chapter and paragraph are non-substantive and are intended to align the language in the system rules with the Texas State University System's investment policy for operating and endowment funds. Again, I'll call on Vice Chancellor Harper to see if he'd like to add any additional explanation to the rule.
Yes, ma'am. So as to kind of echo on Nellie's point, the major change is the original rule as it was pre our unitized investment specifically used the term buy, sell, assign, endorse. And what we're moving this to is a overall more generic term of approve the investment transaction. So it's holistic. We had an issue a few months ago on a transaction that they were trying to find which specific word in the existing rule aligned with it.
Chair Flores, unless there are any questions regarding the proposed rule change, I'll proceed to the next item.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding this item?
Chairman Flores, I've also been asked to present a change to this proposed language on behalf of Regent Scott. In paragraph 6.18.1 of Chapter 3, he recommends adding language to the second sentence so that it states, request to the Vice Chancellor and Chief Financial Officer to authorize component investment officers to approve investment transactions shall be made by a letter from the component's president in which the names of all persons being authorized to conduct such business for the components are specified. Therefore, I move that we replace that phrase as I've just indicated.
Thank you. There is a motion to revise the proposed language of Chapter 3, paragraph 6, parentheses 18, parentheses 1. Is there a second? Charlie Amato?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, are there any objections to the change? Hearing no objections, the motion passes. Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The last proposed rule change is located on page RR3 or on board book page 344. Now, the edits here are being proposed to Chapter 3, paragraph 19 regarding the systems IT policy. The proposed changes to the chapter and paragraph are extensive and are substantive. The chapter and paragraph relate to information technology policies that were originally adopted in 2008. Not surprisingly, information security standards for institutions of higher education have greatly advanced and evolved since the policy was first adopted. The current rule no longer aligns with the latest version of information security standards for institutions of higher education that were established by the Texas Administrative Code. The substantive changes being proposed will replace the majority of the current policy, and the effect of these substantive changes will be to conform our system rule with current legal requirements. And once again, so I'll call on Vice Chancellor Harper to see if he'd like to add anything to this explanation.
Yes, ma'am. So the only thing I would add to it is when this was originally created, it was more of a policy that was put into board rule. And so what this is doing is separating the policy aspects from the board rule aspects, leaving the board rule aspects in rules and then referencing the policy, which is located on the TSUS website.
Chairman Flores, unless there are any questions regarding this last item, this concludes the presentation.
Are there any questions? If none, are there any items that any regent wants to move off the consent agenda? As no one is requesting that, we move any items off. We're not moving anything. We'll recommend to the board approval of the rule changes on the consent agenda. Regent Tinsley, do you agree?
I agree.
Regent Foskey, you joined the meeting?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Thank you, Regent Foskey and Regent Tinsley, for your responses. In light of your responses, the rule changes will remain on the consent agenda with the committee recommendations for approval. Are there no further, as there's no further items to consider, this concludes the business of the Rules and Regulations Committee and concludes today's telephonic meeting. Thank you to everyone for calling and taking part. And for the record, the time is 11:13 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.